Hello everyone, my name is Sophia, and I'm here to tell you about my time as an intern at the O Street Museum in the Mansion. The entire experience has been absolutely wonderful. I've gotten lost, had my mind blown on more than one occasion, made some awesome friends, and even discovered new things about myself along the way. So, without further ado, follow me as I take you through my daily walkthrough and share what I've learned. After letting H know that I've arrived, I begin the day by doing my first walkthrough, where I score the entire mansion for anything that's out of place or dirty. This can take anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour, and I usually need to take a break and rest on one of the dozens of sofas and armchairs scattered throughout the rooms. While I do this, I survey the room for anything out of the ordinary, this time from a new, slightly lower perspective. Sometimes my walkthrough comes with unexpected surprises, such as a broken light or television, or, if the universe feels like testing me, a software glitch that leaves Chucky's room 10 times more terrifying. Throughout the day, I check guests in for their reservations, give tour speeches, and work on my personal projects. Over the course of my internship, I have been tasked with translating the museum's introductory tour video into German, as well as appraising its collection of German literature. These tasks, along with frequent guest interactions, keep me busy, and there is rarely a dull moment in the mansion. Every day, after my shift is over, I fill out a daily report. This allows me to organize my thoughts and tasks, as well as reflect on what I have learned, and what could be improved. It is also a great place to ask questions and share anything that stood out that day. The variety within my daily schedule gives me the opportunity to improve upon several useful skills for the future, which can be broken into 3 main categories: social, academic, and professional. It's difficult to be shy while working at the O Museum. A large part of the job is interacting with guests, whether that's checking them in and making small talk, performing the introductory speech, or simply mingling as they pass by during their tours. Guests look to me for answers, and it is my responsibility to help them to the best of my ability. Sometimes this requires me to display a confident front while I try to figure out how to handle an unfamiliar situation, a skill that quickly developed as I gained more and more responsibilities. I still remember my first solo tour speech. It was my 4th day working at the mansion, a Tuesday, and we were surprisingly busy. To my surprise, the rest of the docents were quickly overwhelmed by guest check-ins, and I was suddenly sent to the introduction room to welcome a small crowd of people. At this point, I had practiced my tour speech in front of my supervisor a few times, but I had yet to give it to a live audience. As I went in, I gathered my courage and kept my supervisor's advice in the back of my mind. I have more facts than the guests, and more likely than not, they won't know if I mess up. So, while I may have started the speech with a slight tremor in my voice and sweaty palms, I managed to send them out none the wiser about my internal panic, equipped with all the information they needed to have a great time. This early success compounded into more responsibilities, and before I knew it, I was sent to interact with guests left and right. My confidence evolved from being a facade to having a stable foundation, and I quickly found myself enjoying the small talk between check-ins and send-offs. In the beginning, it was easy to forget that guests are just people looking to have a good time. They're not here to look for all of my little mistakes or slip-ups. However, as with any social interaction with strangers, it isn't always sunshine and rainbows. I have experienced a few difficult situations with guests, mostly pertaining to tour reservations or secret door locations, but I never faced these incidents without help. My coworkers have supported me through every hiccup, and that, combined with the thorough training I've received these past few weeks, has developed my analytic and problem-solving abilities. The majority of my guest experiences, however, have been overwhelmingly positive. In such a magical place, it's easy to bond over new discoveries and experiences. Whether it's a group of happy-go-lucky 30-somethings on a champagne tour, a little girl with her grandparents who insists on finding Tinkerbell, or 2 young adults dropping in before their late-night concert, I have bonded with more strangers than I thought possible in such a short period of time. When not working with guests or setting up events, I worked on one of my 2 projects, both of which made use of my fluency in German. As I mentioned before, I was in charge of translating the introduction video subtitles, as well as appraising the museum's German book collection. Both of these projects utilized skills that I've developed in school, and I found comfortable familiarity in the academic aspects of this internship. However, this familiarity didn't negate my ability to grow. Having spoken mostly casual German over the course of my life, I was forced to delve deeper into the language, as both projects explored different aspects of German's social and etymological background. While translating video subtitles, I realized that although I speak Hochdeutsch, or High German, my speech was still influenced by the idiosyncrasies of northern dialects. I had to take this into account when translating the video's English-specific expressions into their German equivalents, and ensure that I used expressions comprehended across the entire country, not just my native region. In my German literature project, I am faced with the inverse version of my previous challenge. A few of the books I've encountered are written in old prose, and sometimes what appears to be a directly translatable sentence has a completely unexpected meaning. In other instances, the author's language is highly academic and too complicated for any native German to comprehend. And on occasion, it's just classic German, long-winded compound words, like this, Rechtsschutzversicherungsgesellschaften, which means insurance company. In each of these encounters, I had to explore German from a more analytical point of view than I was used to, learning a lot about the language and its roots along the way. I also realized that I already have a much deeper understanding of the language than I previously thought. Working at the O Museum has opened up several new doors in my budding professional career. Not only have I gained more confidence in my ability to work in a professional setting, but by networking, I have also secured several opportunities and bits of advice. Since childhood, I have maintained an intense love for archaeology. To my delight, one of my coworkers at the O Museum is a trained archaeologist, and I was thrilled to find someone with whom I could discuss the latest archaeological discoveries and techniques. Even from our first conversation, I could tell that I had a lot to learn. One day, she offered to put me in contact with one of the leading archaeological departments in the region to see if I could fit into one of their student programs. I found it difficult to break ground in actually entering the field, pun intended, so this was, and still is, a very appealing offer. Without even realizing it, I had networked my way into one of my dream employment opportunities. I had always viewed networking as an artificial interaction, one where you suck up to your superiors in the hope that they pull you up a notch on the proverbial corporate ladder. However, I realize now that it's a two-way street. Helping others is fulfilling, and there comes a sense of pride in helping them succeed. Besides, it's exciting to find someone who's just as enthusiastic about your field as you are. Thus, as I have learned, the best opportunities answer to genuine interest and effort. To my surprise, many of my coworkers and supervisors have taken an interest in my university prospects. Their support and valuable advice give me the tools to maximize the substance of my future academic experiences. One piece of advice stands out among them all. Try a little bit of everything. Throughout this internship, I have time and time again marveled at my coworkers' wide breadth of knowledge, and this expertise clearly comes from their willingness to pursue knowledge outside of their fields of focus. I have never been one to pigeonhole myself, especially academically, and such advice validated my multidisciplinary outlook on learning. As I look forward to my higher education, I know that I'll keep my mind open so as to diversify my knowledge and expertise. A majority of the advice I've received has come directly from one of the founders and owners of the museum herself, the wonderful and mystical H.H. Leonards, who is very involved with all of the museum's activities and has been since its establishment over 40 years ago. After only 4 weeks, I already look up to her as more than my boss, but as a mentor figure as well. She's even offered to provide me with a letter of recommendation, without my having to ask. This solidified my belief that the O Museum wants its employees, and its interns, to succeed.